Hello, crypto boys and ghouls. I do not know if we're live at this point. It's been a while since we streamed to YouTube. Let me see.
I'm back.
All right, Rogue.
Back with a brand new rap, and I don't mean rap as in a new
All right, I think we're live.
I really hope we're live.
We are. I can see the screen refresh. So welcome everyone. We are here today for the Conclave Arcana pre-sale after party. I've got a number of special guests here with us today. And we don't have video today, unfortunately, because I'm just coming back from a Mother's Day dinner and didn't have time to set it up. But we got the sexy voices of Lorcas. Welcome, Lorcas.
Hello.
Rogue Patton.
Yo.
And the real McCoy, Dave McCoy. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you. Happy to be here, and I think that's the first time my voice has ever been described as sexy, so thank you.
Yes, indeed. Well, I appreciate everyone coming in and hanging out with us today. I know it's technically an unofficial holiday, but there's a lot of stuff to be excited about in Splinterlands. I mean, we obviously had the Conclave Arcana pre-sale finished today at 1 o'clock Eastern. Maybe we can start there because I know, Dave, we only have you for a limited amount of time. And I wanted to do some Mav server battles here as well later on the stream. But Dave, what have you got to say for today's finale?
What's their hot take?
Yeah, it was incredible. I was expecting it to pick up at the end. I did not expect it to pick up essentially $1 million, in the last 26 or 7 hours. So it was pretty amazing. So it was a testament, I think, to the quality of our people, that so many people made their cards so close to the vest. And, I made the point out on Twitter that I think that when you look back at the big picture, you kind of see that look at how many people are spending this amount of money. Not just the top 10 spots, but the top 50 spots, the top 200 spots. I mean, people are spending good money that know our game. So why are they spending that money that know our game? Because they see something. And I think it's just a matter of time before we get that message out to the outside of our community. So
what was really the total? What was the total? It was over
2.4 million.
2.4.
Yep, 2.41 million.
Nice. And what was your goal for the pre-sale? Like, what is this like in your happy place? Was this like what you expected, or was this a little under what you expected? Like, how do you feel about it?
It actually exceeded what I was. My goal was 2 million. We exceeded by about 20%. I really didn't think we were going to make it, 3-4 days ago, but it definitely picked up at the end. So I figured it would pick up at the end. I just didn't expect it to pick up this much at the end. It was nuts.
Yeah, that ending definitely was bigger than I expected. That was a lot.
Yeah, and I will say I think the structure was better this time around than for previous pre-sales, and such that you had kind of that excitement or I guess anxiety if you were in the top 6 at some point in time today at the end, right? Because you never know who's going to come in, and it was almost like a little bit of a, I don't even know what they call it. Is it a Dutch auction or whatever? I don't know. It's the reverse of a Dutch auction, I think, because you come in and you can kind of snipe at the end, but it creates a lot of fireworks as well. And, I think that's the opposite of what we had before, where everyone just threw a bunch of stuff in the first, hour and then didn't do anything for the next week or so.
The counterpoint is I had a lot of stress ending up in top 6 in Rebellion. So I disagree with you there. But maybe this was worse. I don't know.
Dude, it looked tight for you at the end, Larkus. Oh my, you snuck right in there for that black foil. Like, well done.
Oh, you're talking about for this one? Yeah. 20.
Yeah,
20 was close. But man, my 6th in Rebellion was also super close. That was tight.
How much did you win that one for, Marcus?
Oh, I. It's hard to say. I because at the time it was counted differently, but it was around a little over 11,000 packs. Uh, so
Wow.
So it's like,
whatever that works out to, because there were bonuses in there. So
About
um,
44,000.
probably around there, and whatever the crypto was that it started with, but probably around there.
yeah, I mean,
Gotcha.
today, depending on the price that the people bought DEC or burned SPS for, you're looking at somewhere around 55,000 as the.
55 wouldn't get it for you. Yeah, 55. Two people lost out at 55.
Yeah, I was part of the folks that lost out. I actually got in at the last minute with Steve and some folks, was part of AJ Brockman's group, and we got bumped by like
Oh,
$673 from sixth place.
yeah,
So
that's so close.
That's
What did you end up picking
78
up?
was nuts.
Yeah, after all that time to have a 1% difference is kind of crazy.
yeah, it's one of those things where you got to go big or go home, I think, because you don't want to leave the chance. Like Cryptomancer just came in and said, "Bam, there we go. We're staking our claim," and
Mhm.
everyone else kind of just had to, follow his lead or else get left behind. It looked like.
So what did you Tails? Sorry, picking up either I am or you are Tails. I'm not sure.
I think it's tails.
So,
Is it me?
Tails, you're ruining our vibe, man.
I'm sorry. I'll leave, guys. You guys carry on.
Thank you, tails.
Uh, so what did you end up picking up with the A Brockman group, Tails? Because I wasn't sure what you were going to end up with.
Yeah, so for me personally, my journey on this one is I was, not a big participant in rebellion, and I regretted that honestly because the team really did some good things with rebellion, and I think, Dave, you've put in a lot of new things this time around that are gonna make things better than Rebellion in some ways. I'm a little concerned about the starter packs, but we'll talk about that maybe later. But other than that, I mean, I think you're keeping the
Will you
wagons.
say spicier? Like better or worse is maybe too early to say, but it's definitely spicier than before.
Yeah, and honestly, after seeing the cards, I mean, if you don't have conclave cards, you are in trouble. And I want to go through some of the data around that as well, using the league levels that we know in modern that exist today with Chaos Legion cards, pair that with the leaderboard for Conclave Arcana, and I think there's some interesting stuff we can dissect there for what we might see starting Tuesday. But for me, I really wasn't in a position personally where I could bring in a lot of external funds just because I've been diversifying in other projects in Web3. And so basically, what I ended up doing is I ended up taking, and I hated to do it, but I basically took a lot of my SPS earnings from the Chaos Legion era, and I put it back in to Conclave Arcana. And that's me saying I have a lot of confidence and faith in the team and the project, which I was a little cautious with the rebellion. So I think that says a lot for me, at least personally, because I could have obviously just cashed that out, turned that SPS into stable coins and withdrew it, today, but I didn't. So I ended up going with maybe not the optimal route, but for me, given where I'm at, I'm probably going to end up with like a gold level legendary set
Nice.
for regular foil, and I'll fill in the commons and rares with starter packs and, figure it out as I go along. But the good news is with survival
Seems
mode.
pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. With survival mode and with modern ranked rewards, I think I should be able to add, I would think like a starter pack a day, in rewards, just free rolling it, which, over time should get me into, diamond and higher eventually. So
that, I guess that maybe this is going too far into your strategy, but is that what you would plan to do, is sell your rewards to fill out common and rares, or would you start restocking your SPS?
A little bit of both, actually. I have like kind of like the bare minimum to function, but that's obviously not where I want to be. but I had to position myself for the next 2 years, basically. The new era here is what I figured, and honestly, um, I think there's going to be good opportunity to earn with tournaments, modern ranked, and survival. And to be honest with you, I mean the rewards for the pre-sale. When you look at the group buy DEC that you're probably going to get back, plus the airdrop for the 2 promo cards. The title goes into the group buy rewards and stuff like that. But then you look at the potential for raffle prizes, and then you look at the Conclave Arcana Wagon airdrops. I mean, Mondroy did a really good article on Peak D talking about his rebellion journey, and it all started with a pretty decent buy in the pre-sale for rebellion. And I think if you miss out on some of those freebies and incentives, I think it's going to impact your ROI negatively. So that's why I didn't want to miss it.
So one question that I had, maybe it's for you and Dave, that came out of what you just said. You said planning for the next 2 years. Were you meaning for 2 sets to go through, or are we expecting the set to be the current set for 2 years?
No, it would be, obviously the next set beyond that, but at least for the year earnings, okay. Yeah, for sure. I think they're going to be good enough, and I'm hoping the SPS price is resilient enough to change the trends that we had the last couple of years. If the macro environment cooperates and the crypto environment cooperates, Splinterlands has really positioned themselves, I think, quite well. I think the team is firing on all cylinders. I think Cryptomancer, the real Cryptomancer on land here, is doing a great job, and I think there's going to be some great things to come. We can talk about that and how land changes the game, with Midnight Potions starting now, and maybe Revival Potions and other things leading into items and spells. When the players can mint and sell items that are needed in the game that the company is not minting and selling, that is truly your own Web3 business. In a little micro.
It's been a long time coming. Yeah, that's exciting. Totally agree.
And I think we're finally there for player-owned kind of like creation of value in the ecosystem with land, and some of the changes here. So I think it's right around the corner. Hopefully, Dave. Hopefully, I don't want to put you on the spot and have you spill any land alpha accidentally to us, but I think there's probably good news coming there. So.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do items for land. There's no doubt about it. We have two, the Black Foil Potions have come out already. We have 2 more that we've already talked about, like the Battle Wagons and Survival Potions. And then we have a couple other things in the works as well. And at some point in the not too distant future, we're going to start making special cards out of land. So, it's... I say not too distant future. I'm not saying next week, but before you know it, all of a sudden you're gonna find out sometime this year, like your land resources can be used to craft cards. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty fun.
I know Azir Khan was pushing for that as well when he was on the People's Guild, and shout out to the People's Guild and B Jangles as well.
Yeah, let me give the disclaimer though. That's not items and spell cards. These would be like special cards in, for instance, like a land card, or maybe a survival only mode card, or a wild only card, or something like that. So, when I say cards, like different people have different things. I don't want them to come back and say, "Oh, you said you were going to make cards and assume they're items and spells," or that they're going to be modern ranked. So I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do it. We just know we want to do it. So
it's a starting point. I mean, you put in the framework and the foundation, and you roll out one thing. You can always roll out additional things pretty easily. And I think that allows people like Matt, to do the magic and figure out what are those things that are added to the ecosystem and the game mechanics that are really going to set Splinterlands apart from everyone else, right? So.
Yep, I agree. That's why the Black Foil Potions was just the start, but it was a big deal because we can take that mechanic and relatively easily apply it in many different ways. So I'm really excited.
You can tell it's a big deal because suddenly there is resources being consumed. which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
Pretty
I mean,
great.
just wait till one day, like let's say we make a a card that you can buy like all wood, for instance, and it's this big giant tree that's just huge, and
Like a totem.
I don't. Well, I guess.
Oh, zing! Oh, come on.
In other words, like all of a sudden, if all of a sudden these cards,
Is it a living totem?
Yes, a living totem, exactly. Who is
That's
that,
Rogue.
by the way?
That's Rogue.
Which?
Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. All right, there's Rogue. That's all right. So yeah, stuff like that's coming. I think the potion idea works great. I think there's some other consumables we're planning on. So I can't wait to get to work. Tomorrow or Tuesday's a big deal. Obviously, we want to make sure everything goes well. I've given the way I look at it, the team has one day to celebrate, and then starting Wednesday, we got work to do. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah. No, it's funny that Tails brings up this concept of like setting yourself up for 2 years. And because it's something that I've been thinking about as I've been watching this, generally we knew, right? Looking at the play data and everything, that the majority of the people that are playing in Modern do not have Rebellion cards, period. Sinister's not the only one that skipped entirely, like the Rebellion set. And so when I look at this leaderboard, you scroll all the way down to the bottom, 300 is still people that spent over $1,000
which is
on pre-sale.
Only like 250 standard packs, which is crazy because
which is not a max. It's not like
it's
really like these are going to be silver.
If that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are people that are getting and I'm almost it's almost like they're resetting after this. And so that brought up like two thoughts for me. One, this is one that I've always thought about, where it's like we currently don't know what this new system that Matt put up, where like we don't have leagues. Like we don't know what that really looks like because of Chaos being so cheap. I think we're going to get our first look at what like everything being cost driven, what real leagues look like based on budgets. You know what I mean? Like the way the Modern rank will be spread out because of just who's got the money to play at what levels, the way it used to be. But so I'm looking forward to seeing that shake out. But then the other thing is, let's just say, so like we know Chaos Legion came in at a super boom, right? We sold 3 million packs real quick, vouchers, pre-sales, like $24 vouchers, crazy hype. We were in the bull run.
You have to bring up $24 vouchers, really?
No, I got to. I got to remind everybody what it was like, because
appreciate that. Thank you.
There's almost two things here that I kind of want to I want to think about. Is right now we believe the company is doing things better than they were in Chaos. We believe that price stability of the assets in which they're printing is more reliable than it was back then. But that was mainly because of a lot of stuff that happened after the 3 million, right? In order to try to sell the remaining 9 million that they had on the shelf, right? It was super sales, driving down price and all that stuff. So now the thought comes to my mind. It's like, okay, let's put this into perspective. Let's say we do the marketing. Let's say we increase the player base by, 5x or whatever, something crazy, because marketing's good, crypto market's good, like everything's good. That 5x isn't going to stay. You know what I mean? Like they'll be around maybe for a year or so, and like we're hoping retention wise, we get like nowhere near the drop off that we had from Chaos, right? Like let's hope we retain 50% of them, right? We stay with the next bear run, we're at like 2.5x or something like that from where we're at now. That still means whatever set is active, whatever is the set that is on the shelf in the middle of a bull run, in the middle of like big marketing push, like bull run type of hype, always has the risk of then falling off later. And so that's kind of what I was thinking, is when you said like you're going to buy this for 2 years, I'm like, okay, what if there's a lot of people that are always going to play every other set? You know what I mean? Ride a set for 2 years, sprinkle in the other one, and it's almost like you've got one big push and then you've got like only one for like the diehards, right? Because if we go through this bull run all this year, we bring in the 5X, right? And the next bear run starts, are we going to keep everybody? Probably not. What'd they buy into? Conclave Arcana. Conclave Arcana is probably going to drop. Now, it's probably not going to be like the 90% drop that Chaos was, right? $4 packs to 40-cent packs. But like, what does the next cheap set look like after the bull run? You know what I mean? So these are all kind of the things that
need to be a cheap set.
Huh?
Why does there need to be a cheap set?
Because maybe even if the company's doing everything right, is there going to be a pullback every time? Like whatever set is active during a bull run is going to end up being a cheap set after the pullback. You know what I mean?
Go ahead.
I guess I don't love the premise there. This is kind of why I was advocating for tying pack prices to token prices, is that you wouldn't potentially see an oversell based on a bull run. But I'm really curious to what Dave is going to say about this, because I believe when we talked about this, his argument was that the value of Splinterlands cards is different than just looking at rewards. And so understanding what that means to the community and how you value those cards is a little different. Does that make sense? And I'm curious what Dave has to say about that.
Well, I understand the dynamic that both you guys are talking about. I would say that the boom bust cycle is partly due to the crypto cycle, partly due to the way we did it within the crypto cycle. And in addition to that, there's a natural law of markets in general. The more that the markets are regulated, the more that essentially you have the Fed out there, softening the jips and, stopping the rallies, the more stable you can have it. So crypto itself by nature is a lot more wild, right? Like you have boom and bust, you have 80% move down and then, quadruple up, stuff like that. And then on top of that, the way that Splinterlands ran their business during that period of time was a mistake.
Not ideal. Let's just say that.
Yeah. I mean, they did not plan on a rainy day. It's kind of like the saying that when everybody's excited, you need to be fearful, that kind of mentality. So I would say this, there's zero chance that I would ever want to live, with a runway that's like a year or less. Like, to me, that's nuts, right? Like we should have had 10 years worth of money in the bank after that last run that we had. So part of it is, the cycle itself, but the way the company manages it makes all the difference in the world. The other part of that is in terms of prices of the cards. One good thing about being around 7 years and this being our sixth set, cards are like part of a total picture. So in the beginning, they're in modern, but then at some point they get out of modern and they go somewhere else, right? And usually land, but maybe survival mode, maybe other modes down the road. So we get into a situation where all those cards are counted cumulatively, and the fact that you have a good size base already mitigates some of that boom bust, right? Like it's harder to move them up, but it's also harder to move them down because there's, you get some degree of stability over time. And I think we've actually seen that is it's a miracle that we're alive, in my opinion, because the quality of our people, the quality of the top end, the premiumness of our game is all fantastic, but we literally lost our funnel. And, when you lose that new player funnel, most businesses go out. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the stability that we have and the fact that we were able to make it through that period of time, is a testament to the quality, but it's also something that, needs to be addressed. So I would say that, the rule that, Rogue said may be true, but I don't think we're going to get the run like that until it's real. Right, like the way I look at it is, when SPS goes to a nickel, it's probably going to go to a dime, and when it goes to a dime, it's probably going to go to $1. I subscribe more to the after sound, theory where, like once it goes up, it just keeps going up because of the dynamics. Because in my opinion, it's only going to go up because we deserve to go up, not because we talked about it going up.
That's how it needs to be, for sure.
Yeah, and we saw, some of the flywheel happen in the last, let's say, 24 hours with SPS burn, DEC above peg, and that being stable, and we burned a lot of SPS.
Was it like 24 million or something?
It was a lot.
It was almost 100 million.
Yeah. It was 100 million. Wow, that's impressive. Yeah,
it was a lot. Yeah.
When I took a snapshot, I think at the start of the sale, we were at, I think 136 million. Oh, I'm digging in my phone right now. I think we were at like 136. Where are you at? Come here, buddy.
We're over 200 million
burn
burn.
SPS for DC. I haven't done it yet. I'm waiting for the day.
Yeah, I was forced to today in order to purchase, but I mean, I think I saw the SPS DAO, I saw Clay post that we were over 200 million total SPS burned, which is over almost 7% of the total token supply.
So I snapped it at April 22nd, and we were at 139 million burnt, and we're currently at 220. So, we're
like 2.5 weeks.
80 million in the course of 3. Yeah, I think, when did the pre-sale start?
It actually started a little before that, because I know it was under 134, because I snapped it myself at 134. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, nice.
Yeah,
so we've done all. Yeah, I was going to say one other thing that about the SPS and the burning and the assets. One thing that I don't think people think about very much is the assets behind SPS. I mean, we literally just raised paid $600,000 worth. I always think in terms of PEG. So we paid the company $600,000. We just got back that $600,000 plus another $600,000, plus we get 10% of all the packs going forward. All the packs. I mean,
what are we gonna do with all this stuff?
Well, and here's the thing. Here's where my follow-up question to you, Dave, is. One of them that I wanted to ask you was, and I think you've talked about this, but we know that SPS printing is finite, meaning we've already minted the 3 billion, but the dispersing schedule is coming due soon. I think it's under 2 years now. I don't have the exact data in front of me, but when we talk about the runway for SPS rewards, there is a limited lifetime or lifespan for that. And I think one of the questions that I would have is, what is the team looking at, or the DAO looking at, to replace SPS for essentially rewards in the game? And is it going to be things like packs or other assets in the game that's going to be introduced with new modes or what have you, that's going to continue to drive people to the play and earn part of Splenderlands, not just the gamification of the game itself? Because I think, and to Joffrey's point in the chat here, the reason why people are okay paying, several thousands of dollars for a set is because there's the ability to, in theory, earn that money back and technically an ROI for playing a video game. When the token goes away and that's the only real tangible reward, what does the game turn to? Have you thought about that? And is there a plan in place?
Yes, and yes. So yes, I've thought about it a lot. Not just since I got the job, but that was probably something that's been bugging me for a year and a half. I definitely think ahead. Like, I come from the financial space, so when you do analysis, you never look at what a company's doing now. You always look at what they're going to do in the future. So that's certainly something that's been on my mind for a while. Do I have a plan? Absolutely. That's part of what we're going to be doing on the new player aspect, like on the new player side of it. Obviously, if people come in and they play the way we normally play, that's great. Let them start, let them get in just like we did and, move their way up. But I also want to create another mode where people play and they don't get SPS and they don't get deck. And we're going to find what works. In fact, I'm going to work with not only the team, we're going to have a focus group within the team to come up with things other than SPS and deck. And that's actually what I'm calling it. The team that finds solutions other than SPS and deck. And in addition to that, once I get that, gelled a little bit and, the guys on that team, focused, then I'd actually love to go outside the team and go to people like you guys and form another focus group on the outside and really us put our heads together and figure out like what can we do. I know there's a lot of different things we can do, from collectibles to more modes, more intense battles, to things like
Soulbound land workers.
yeah, skins. There's all kinds of other things we can do. Those little figurines that Brave Tofu has been working on, things like that. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that we can do, but the key is, to figure it out, right? And so I don't think anybody can wave a magic wand and say, "Oh, this is exactly what's going to work." I think there's going to be some trial and error, which is why I want to have a mode where it's for experiments. It is to find out like what's cool, right? And look, our art team is really good. They've made some awesome lore. There's a lot of stuff we can do with that, but really don't want it to mess with the current game that we have, the premium game that we have, because you don't want to take away what those guys have, right? What you guys have, basically. But bringing new people in, I think there's a lot more we can do. And having said that, back in the day, we used to earn things like, I don't know, packs or, reward cards that you could sell, right? Like there's things like that you can do too. But, the one thing I will say is we have to do it in a meaningful, thoughtful way. Like one of the things that's happened within our community and the team in the past, over the years, not recent past, but over the years, is people got binary. In other words, they hopped on one side or the other. Like some people would say, soulbounds are the only thing to do. That's the only way to stop people, right? And then the other people, the other side of it would say, well, no, we can't have soulbounds. They suck. We need to have unbound cards that people can sell. And then you had kind of a, taste great, less filling, battle, between, both sides. But in reality, the answer is both, right? It's just got to be measured. It's got to be thought through. It's got to be, carefully considered and done in a way that makes sense, right? And we have a tremendous amount of things we can do. Hell, we've had up until we did survival mode, we pretty much had the same thing for 7 years or 6 years, right? So more modes is one of the things that I think is going to be really cool. Different ways of playing tournaments. And like I said, other things like the black foils. I mean, that's a perfect example of something new and exciting that people want. And that's kind of what my job is to figure out, what can we do other than SPS and deck? Because like you guys said, SPS and deck, we just can't, it's a Ponzi scheme if we could just give out that and everybody got rich.
Yeah, it better stay limited.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I come from the collector side of things myself, so I fully understand the idea of collectability being scarce. I mean, whenever you start making 1 million of anything, you got to be careful, right? Because 1 million people is a lot of people.
Yeah.
So this brings up a question that I had kind of kicking around in my head here, or two questions, I guess. Does anyone have the numbers for the leaderboard for Rebellion? Like, how many people? What we were talking about, the top 250 had approximately 1,000 USD or more. But what did that look like for Rebellion? Does anyone recall or have the data? And I guess my second question is kind of a corollary to that. Just looking at those around $1,000 purchases, are these people that are looking for leagues to return, or are these people that are buying for collecting reasons? Like, who are these people, and what is the company expecting?
You're talking about the current leaderboard this time around? Like what how
Versus
would
Rebellion.
I would say
Yeah.
that what happened, we lost players from Rebellion to now. We obviously didn't pick up many new players over that period of time. We did lose players. So we had a smaller base that did more. So I would say we did have some people come back. There was quite a few people that said, "Hey, I skipped Rebellion and I'm back." Right? Like I got so disappointed with Chaos Legion. I didn't do well, but now I'm back. I had some of that. But I would say by and large, it's our core group. It's just amazing, and they were motivated and they reached into their pockets and pulled out a little more than they did last time in aggregate. So I don't think that I do think the way the set's designed is going to be a natural magnet for new people, just because the ability to pull a $1,000 card or greater is going to be there. And I think that's going to naturally attract people that we didn't have, recently, ever since the original Gold Foil Legends back in the alpha days. So I think that's going to be helpful, but at the end of the day, we're still going to have to get new players. We're going to have to rebuild that funnel, and the great thing is, we have the high end built, right? Like we know where we're headed. Now it's just a matter of starting at the bottom and figuring out, making bronze fun again, right? Like bronze hell has to disappear. Like I don't want to hear people, over time. I'm not going to be happy if people are still referring to bronze as bronze hell, because there's no
a
way.
Great slogan for the game: "Make bronze fun again."
Yeah,
Bronze has been fun for a minute, and that's what I don't like the amount of abilities that are in bronze now is insane. Like chaos has just ruined it because everybody's playing with high level stuff. But if you actually capped bronze and you didn't have chaos there, like there's so many abilities now. Like I joke around with Mondroid all the time. I'm like, this is not the bronze we were raised in. Like this is a different bronze, that's for sure.
and I think you guys are going to help with that. Being able to get the word out. There's a balance there between there's a gamer type and then there's the casual type. Right? So the gamer types really love the dynamics of the game. And this is really going to be big during Conclave Arcana. And you're right, in bronze, that's a big deal. The problem is the casual player is like, they're going to need a month to study, right? Because they're not used to, 100 different abilities and, how they work. And hell, they don't even know what a melee and a range attack is, for a while. So, we're going to have to figure that out. And again, I think additional modes is going to help, but, we should have a big enough tent to allow both. And in addition to that, the people that are staking, people that are doing liquidity pools, people that want to participate on land, there's a whole lot of other things that we're also going to be marketing to. So, I want to have a big tent. I know a lot of people say things like we have to have it one way or the other, like you guys mentioned leagues. Like I don't want us to go back to the old way of doing leagues, but I also think the new way of doing leagues isn't sustainable either. There's got to be a better way, and I believe there is. And so that's what my focus is going to be, like doing both, right, in a different way. So I know it's hard to really talk about because like I can't say exactly what's going to be done until we get into the planning phase. I just know in my head that you can take the best of multiple, like for instance, what was Matt trying to solve when he removed the caps, the league level caps? And, did he solve that? Yes, he did. Did he create a new problem? Yes, he did. So what can we do to mitigate the new problem? And I think there are answers there. I think there's, for instance, pick your own league type thing, where people can pick the league they want to play. So they can pick the league that has the summoner caps, or they can pick the league where the summoners are uncapped, right? So either way will work. Part of it is we needed match liquidity. boom, we now have liquidity bots that can liquidity. Other people say, oh, I don't want to play against the bot at all, right? Okay, boom, we can make a different league for that. So, again, a lot of these issues all come back and solve everything. And, it's like the chicken or the egg. How do we get so? That's where it always comes back to getting more players. So we're going to get there. I can tell you this. If you guys have me back, what are we in May? If you have, which is 7 months, I'm pretty sure you're going to have, we're not going to be talking about the fact that we haven't found out how to get new players. Like, if we are, then I sure as hell tried a bunch of different things, because I'm not going to sit here and just go 7 months without action.
Yeah, and I think the key
So are you
here,
saying it's going to be a lot harder to get your time for a chat 7 months?
No. I'm happy to come on anytime. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to explain. But you guys are all young relative to me, but I'm 63. So I look at it, like I could do other things with my life, but I'm here, right? I'm here. I want to see us succeed, but I don't want to wait 10 years for us to succeed. I want to take advantage of the opportunity we have in front of us today. I don't want to, take our time and then, get sick and then not even be able to see the fruits of the labor, right? So I'm motivated to make this happen now. So I'm going to be firing myself far before you guys will ever get tired of me.
well, I think it's reassuring.
If I don't succeed.
Yeah, Dave, I think for you and the team to be aware of challenges with rewards in the SPS system, with the ranked, league system. I mean, I think you're tied in enough to know where there's areas that need attention and work, and that you're working on plans to address those, given all your, obviously developer constraints and time constraints that you have on the team. But I think the good news is that, these are things that are being looked at, and what I like about what I've been seeing from the team, lately is that you guys don't talk about what's coming. You guys just work behind the scenes at a decent pace, and then you release to us what's here. Like the Yaba Mat card, for example. I mean, a lot of people didn't see that coming here with Conclave Arcana and the pre-sale and the pack openings, right? So that is just showing that these are things that are happening behind the scenes that you guys are working on, that you're bringing to us instead of talking about it and then never delivering it, right? So I think this is a good
just trying
change.
to tee me up here, or what?
I don't know. What did I just tee up, Lorcas?
I hate the Mad card. I absolutely hate it.
Okay.
Go.
You go ahead, Dave.
Well, I like the Mat card as a card and a concept. But yes, not only do we have what you said, meaning we come out with things, we've got ideas in the hopper that are being worked on that I'm having to slow down so that we don't inundate with you guys with too much. In other words, the community can only accept so much change at one time. So we're certainly aware of that. I'm definitely aware of that. So, for instance, the black foils were good. The black foil arcanes were better. We announced one and then held off on the other one, and then additional cards being in the set. How things are going to be distributed. We got voucher cards. How are those going to be distributed? There's a lot of stuff that is still like done and being worked on, and you'll find out about them in time, because it doesn't make any sense to go tell you 100 different things, and then if you only deliver on 80 of them, somebody's going to find those 20 if you didn't deliver on and be upset. So it's much better just to make sure you guys are aware that, yeah, we got lots of things in the hopper. Lots. All right, go ahead, Lorcas.
I'm not sure I'm mentally prepared to go on this rant, but I guess I like the concept of a card that is very rare and takes effort or luck or whatever to get. I like that idea. I absolutely hate that we're introducing it with Matt, who has burned millions of dollars of our runway and made horrible decisions for years after Aggie made horrible decisions for years. Like I don't want to honor them. I don't want to remember this stretch of horribleness that they brought upon us. So I hate that we're honoring him. We should honor literally anybody else, like the people that got laid off of his bad decisions, the
I
people
think
that
it was
stuck
a
around and made
down
Spinnerland to still be here. Like I absolutely hate that we're honoring Matt.
I think
And
it
I'll
was a
stop
Dow
there.
proposal. So like I
Don't
don't think
care.
it was I
Don't
like
care.
I mean the Dow said so it was like a weighted stake average. They said do it. So
Yeah, I think it
that's
was
why
a gold matter proposal, and it was driven by the community in the Dow. So yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I just think it's absolutely horrible. Honoring someone that drove us into the ground and we're having to save ourselves from is a mistake. Like that's just wrong.
Well, I would say, to play devil's advocate there, Lorcas. I mean, I think Matt has also been part of the change in direction and the decisions that have been made over, I don't know, last year and a half. I think we could agree that most have been positive, changing moves, and you can't change, right, the ship, instantly. It takes time. And so I think if we truly did not have good leadership and did not have something to kind of salvage what we had here, we would be singing a lot different story today than $2.4 million worth of sales. So I think it's
No, wrong. No, that's just bullshit. So if we had literally anyone that knew how to run a schedule or to set up a timeline or to explain to people what the fuck is going on, we would still have a funnel. So no, I don't buy your argument at all. Is he better than an empty seat doing nothing? Potentially. But was he a CEO that guided us in a direction that wasn't just fuck all? Not a chance. Like he didn't do that. He left us in a place of not accomplishing anything while burning massive amounts of money, even after letting go a massive portion of the team. Huge, huge, huge burn of resources, goodwill, literally anything you don't want to burn. He set it all on fire.
Yeah, I mean,
let me.
Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
I was just going to say I want to address it. I'm not shy about the truth, and I think that part of your thought process makes sense. I think that also part of it is, I would frame it a different way, I guess, the way I would put it, Lorcas. I don't believe that Matt was equipped to handle the situation to which he found himself in. He let a lot of that happen. Yes, he was essentially the number 2 guy in the organization, Aggie being the number 1. They made mistakes. They were both in over their head. Like I said earlier, I would never have let that amount of money that came in 2021 and that doesn't make me brilliant, right? Like you wouldn't have, none of us on this call probably would have, but they did, right? So they made mistakes. One thing I've learned in my career is people learn. They sometimes learn because they were taught well. Sometimes they learn by failing. I would say that Gabba did some really good things when he had to, right? Like maybe he waited too long. I think he wouldn't argue with that. I think he would say he probably should have pulled the trigger faster on, when he clamped down on whatever, on the mistakes that were being made. But at the end of the day, I don't think anything was done intentionally. I just think he wasn't equipped, right? Like he just never had done
Totally
that before.
agree. Totally agree.
So,
I'm not saying that Matt or Aggie is a bad person. What I'm saying is that when you write a lore article about tossing runes for years, those runes that they were tossing were our crypto, giant stacks of our crypto. They aren't runes. It's not funny. It's not cute. I don't want to remember that. Like what they did to keep this alive was burn everything. I don't think they did it on purpose or maliciously, but they're incompetent at the job that they were tasked with. So immortalizing a lore card about him saving the universe for 5 years or whatever bullshit, I find just starkly mad. Like, I just think it's mad. And I wish we had done something better.
Yeah, I think
I,
what I would say, Lorcas, is I think both of us look at other ecosystems and games outside of Splinterlands and Web3, and honestly, I posted on X about this. There's articles and data that show from a Web3 gaming perspective, I think it's like 80% of the studios that start fail. Splinterlands has been around now. It's going to be, I think, 7 years. And that says a lot. I mean, yes, there were mistakes made, but we're still here. We're going in the right direction, which I think is meaningful because literally Gala Games just shut down The Walking Dead. Just like a week ago, they announced that, which was one of their banner games. I mean, we had Metalcore just rug their entire community. There's literally, I can name a dozen projects that you've probably heard of that have shut their doors and just gone away because of mistakes, poor leadership, you name it, right? I mean, if you look at Alluvium, they're having an identity crisis just on the other side of the fence. So there's no one that's in this Web3 ecosystem that's doing everything right, for sure.
No, totally acknowledged. Totally acknowledged. Like, this is better than an empty seat or someone that drove us completely out of existence. But that does not equal honor this person with a hard to reach, hard to acquire card. Those are two different things. And so I get what you guys are saying, but nothing you're saying is like, yeah, we should honor this dude. What you're saying is, yeah, he did the bare fucking minimum and mostly failed at that, but got the bare minimum done. That's cool. Like, that's great. It's fucking great that we're not a dead game and just a bad shape game. Like, that's totally better. That's not honor worthy. Like, am I missing something?
Well, I mean, you're missing the creation aspect, I would say. I mean, that's really about it. I mean, all the pain and all the crap that's come with it for the last 7 years that we're talking about, I mean, wouldn't have ever started if like they didn't create it. And like all the happiness that we're talking about now, our relationship wouldn't have happened if they didn't create the thing that they created. And I mean, like, it's kind of funny because I think about it and it's like, man, I'm glad that, I was around when I was around, because like I wouldn't have bought in when they just had art with no stats and they had art with no game and they had, they had like just like they had the whole JSON and the fork. And like, oh my goodness, there's been worse crap that I think the community at large had dealt with before I came in. And so, for me, I try to take it all with a grain of salt because, at the end of the day, he is one of the creators.
Exactly. So what you're getting at is he's really good at creator founder stuff, which was years ago things. And if he had stepped down and Aggie had stepped down at a time when it was appropriate for them to continue the trajectory of their game, we would be having a very different conversation. And I would be saying, this is great to honor these founders. This is now not the time. Not the time.
I don't know if I would agree. Well, one, it's like I'm not a fortune teller at all, but like I am very curious, if we're talking bulls, bears, we're talking cutthroat crypto, we're talking about millions of dollars. Like, would somebody else have like sold us out a lot quicker?
I think so.
No, man. You thought about this the wrong way. No. Wrong way.
I'm thinking.
Wrong way. Completely wrong premise. Wrong premise. What this is, the better way of framing this is, this was a startup. And when startups turn into not startups, it's absolutely not. But if it was, when it goes from a startup to a production sort of situation, that is where you have to evaluate your skills as a leader. Our leaders did not. They just sprayed money across the entire Web3 world. So when they had the choice to make a good leadership decision, to acknowledge their own failings, that didn't happen. So when we're looking at how do we save this, how do we create the funnel, looking back at the people that made wrong choices about the thing that we're talking about is exactly what frustrates me, that we're honoring them with a card. I don't disagree with all of the things that you guys have said that are not related to my point about them being the founders, or about them trying hard, or about them caring, or whatever else. Like, I'm not arguing that they're bad people. I'm arguing that they are not honor worthy at this point in the game. Like, I don't
I,
understand that.
all right, let me, and I got to go here in a few minutes, but let me try to help a little bit. Where I see your point. I would say if it wasn't for Yaba, we would have failed. Period. Meaning Yaba did step in and stop. Now you may say that was his job, right? But number one, he wasn't the number one guy. He went in and stopped the trajectory of which they were on. Like, we were going to fail, and he did step up and he made that happen. Number two, I will say that if it wasn't for people trusting Yaba, like, that is the one thing that I think has kept us. Like, you may not think that he's worthy of trust, but
I wouldn't let him walk my dog. I'll put it that way. I wouldn't let him walk my dog.
But a lot of people do, and that is one of the things that has kept people around. I remember saying to him, I mean, a year into the project, like, Yaba, like, Aggie is a very controversial person. And, ever since the beginning, I mean, people, either loved Aggie, because they were his mindset, or they hated Aggie. And Matt was the steady force that, people trusted. Like, they trusted that he was there. Like, you guys were talking about rug pulls. The one thing that we do have versus other crypto games is we do trust that Matt's going to try to do the right thing. He may not be equipped to do the right thing. He may not have all the skills or the team to give him the proper advice. But at the end of the day, we know he's going to try. And that is something that you can't completely discount. Like, you may not like him. Like you said, you wouldn't let him walk your dog. But I would say that many people in the game do. And that's one of the things that's got us to this point. So I'm just making that point.
No, that's fair. And I think, I don't want to dwell too much on this subject, because I know it's, a matter of opinion, and, there's probably other things we can talk about with Splinterlands in your time, Dave, and I know you got to go soon. But I'll just maybe close off this topic for now, just to say that, I own my own business as well. And I can tell you that if someone asked me to step down and sell my business, I would have a hard time doing it from a visionary and a creator standpoint. Even if, I was not running the business well, it would still be hard to do. So from Maggie and Matt's perspective, I don't think that would be the first notion. And secondly, I would say that if VCs came in and had bought Splinterlands, this we would not be here today. To today's point, we would have failed. This would have been a rug pull, and they would have got exit liquidity as fast as they could, and they wouldn't care about the community or the game or anything. So I think it's because of Matt's kind of persistence that the game is still here, and I think we'll have to probably differ here, but I think we have to thank him for that. So, but in either case, let's move on, Dave. I know you have just a few maybe minutes left, but as we went through today, I think we could all agree that today was a good day for Splinterlands, with SPS price where it is, with DEC above peg, with the flywheel starting to see. My closing question for you, Dave, is, how do we keep this going? Because we saw this with Land release, and we saw this with Rebellion release. We saw the momentum last for maybe a week or two, and then it went south at that point. How do you keep the demand for DEC in place? How do you keep the community energized? How do you keep this momentum and get to the point where the flywheel is really kicking in, and we're really seeing that token appreciation because people are entering the ecosystem, people are talking about how much they're earning, how much fun they're having, where they want to spend DEC and SPS next? What is the near-term plan to keep that excitement here?
The best way to explain that is to under promise and over deliver. Right now, people's expectations are still relatively low, which is fine. In fact, I'm excited that they're low because I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Like, we do have work to do. You know, we're not going to just snap our fingers and go from a 3% retention rate to a 30% retention rate. Like, it will get better naturally with some of the things like or Chaos Legion rotating out. Francis will help, like what we already talked about. But there's other things we need to do. The SPS deck problem is not going to happen, by snapping some fingers. Like, it's actually going to have to be thought through and solutions found. New players, coming in, just finding them, that's not like you just say, oh, well, here's exactly where I go and here's how much I spend money. We're going to have to try a lot of things. So I would say that how do I keep everybody focused? It's just keep paying attention, right? Like, just like the way the set was designed, it's a subtle thing, but it was, in my opinion, well thought out, right? It wasn't just me that thought it out. Like, of course, I could say that it was me and pat myself on the back, but there was a lot of people involved in every decision. But at the end of the day, the one thing that I think I help is help them not to be afraid to make decisions. Like, we're going to make decisions. Some are going to work, some are not going to work, but we're going to keep making decisions. And all those decisions are going to be designed around making sure we either bring new players in or we take the players that we have and make them want to buy stuff. It's going to be one of the two. And my preference is actually on the first, because in my opinion, the existing players have gone above and beyond in terms of, buying things. Like, as far as I'm concerned, obviously I want you guys to buy. I want to create stuff that the existing players want to buy. But my main goal is get more people involved in the ecosystem, whether that's land, whether that's, new modes, whether that's, whatever we have coming forward in the future. So I think that's the answer. I mean, we got a lot of tools here. The great thing about the company is we have developed some really, really good tools, and just those tools were not explored, or were not used well enough in enough different ways to really create excitement. So that's my goal. So
Excellent.
I don't know how else to explain it.
No, well, I think we look forward to it. I mean, I think we'll see, I think there'll be certainly some excitement with Conclave Archon here with the new modern ranked. There's a ton of new abilities to learn, ton of new battles to play and metas to discover. And I think a lot of us are going to be, I think one of the comments in the past was, everyone shouldn't have a full deck necessarily. There should be, unique things for everyone. And I think, we're going to see that now with this new modern. People are going to have missing Rebellion cards, missing Conclave Arcana cards, and you're not going to always face an optimal lineup in modern now because of that. So it's going to be interesting to see. Let's see what's coming up here, I think in the near future, and hopefully we can keep this momentum going and see, this flywheel stuff in action a lot longer. So
yeah, let me also make one point, because sometimes I don't think I make my points very well because I ramble a little bit, but
you do great, Dave. You do great. We love you.
Thank you, Rob. But
having you come on and talk is brilliant, because we do love to hear your rambles, because you tell us what you really think, and that is part of my complaint about our previous leadership, is they were never honest with us in various ways. But I appreciate your honesty, so please spew your honesty out.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way. I learned a long time ago, like, when I was young, like, I lied, I think. I mean, I don't remember when, but let's say I lied, and then it was so hard to keep track of it. Like, what did I say when, I couldn't remember it. And then it just dawned on me, like, just tell the truth. It's 50 times easier, right? You tell the truth, then you don't have to worry. Then when somebody said, hey, what'd you do? And you just, you tell them what you did. So you don't have to, spend your time trying to memorize all the different things you said. So that's kind of how I look at it. But going back to the point is, I think that the flywheel is like what we just showed, at roughly 100 million SPS got burned by 1 unit of time, right? It was our 6th set, and we finally got to see some serious SPS burning. Like people argue about, like, should we, do this about deck? Should we do this about, add deck burns in here? Should we sell this card in SPS? Should we do this? Should we do that? Like, there's a lot of that kind of talk in an effort to try to, like manipulate things around so that people think like that magically solves problems. But what it really boils down to, if you step back and you look at it, it boils down to you create products that people want to buy, and they're going to buy them. And if they buy them, it's going to translate into burn deck, lower SPS. And that's just what the flywheel is. So when people like want to see what the flywheel is going to look like, all you have to do is envision a world in which people want to buy Splinterlands stuff, whether it's packs, whether it's land, whether it's cards, whatever the case may be, in the future, other things. But at the end of the day, if new money's coming in and not going out, then that flywheel's going to go up. And guess what? The opposite is true. The flywheel works in reverse. If we create a situation where nobody wants our products and people want out, then we see the opposite of that, which was exactly what we saw for years. So at the end of the day, the flywheel 100% works. The goal is to make sure that you create an environment where people see the opportunity. And I've said this before, and it's true, is we have to go from hope to confidence. And we're not there with the confidence yet. We won't be there with the confidence until you guys are on here saying, well, shit, I mean, we're going to have 5,000 players every single month for as far as I can see. When you guys are saying that, we ain't going to be sitting at a penny on SPS. I can assure you that. So that's my goal, right? Like, I want you guys to be able to say, holy moly, those little green, little flowery fig looking things that come in Discord are just, more than we can possibly imagine. When we have that kind of environment on a regular basis, not just one time, not just one promotion, not just one partnership, but on a regular basis, and we know they're coming, we know they're sticking, and we know that it's, hey, we got X amount, it's like your cable company, right? When they go into a neighborhood, they don't guess whether people, are going to sign up. They know a certain percentage of people are going to sign up when they enter for the first time, right? It's the same thing. We know that, when we come out into with the new set or a new product, and we know we've got all these players that have come in, that X amount of them are going to buy, X amount aren't, X amount are going to give referrals, X amount are going to be Bugtuses and Lorcuses, and others are going to be Daves and Rogue Patents, and so at the end of the day, like, this is all not as hard as everybody makes it sound. It really comes down to going from that hope that we're going to do everything right, like we have all the tools there, we think we can do it, to one where everybody knows it's going to happen. And we ain't there yet, but we're going to get there. I mean, that's at least as long as I'm alive. So hopefully it's at least a little bit longer.
Well, I'm sure we have many golden years ahead of us here, Dave. So thank you for taking time on your Sunday, Mother's Day evening. I know it's late in your day and you have probably an early morning with meetings and work to be done with the Conclave Arcana release. Really appreciate you taking the time, hopping in here. Hopefully, Lorcus Road, we can stay on. We can do some battles on the Mav server and just hang out with the community, answer some of their questions here in chat. But yeah, I really appreciate it, Dave. Obviously, you've been making the rounds, making yourself available on the live streams, on the YouTubes out there. So appreciate that. And yeah, man of the people, keep it up.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. And I hope that you have a chilled bottle of champagne or your preferred adult beverage to celebrate this evening, because this seems like a great success to me.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you guys. Seriously, I love that you do these shows. I'm so happy you guys are here and participating. In the way I look at it, we're like all teammates, and I couldn't ask for better teammates. So thank you.
Got you.
All right, guys, I'm going to head out, and you guys have fun.
Yep.
Thanks, brother. Dave. See ya.
See you guys.
Thank you, Dave.
So So yeah, so you got a
So
little bit of everything there. I mean, I think we covered a lot of ground in an hour. Um, guys,
I
what?
am going to say the last thing I want to say about Matt. Now that Dave is gone, because I truly appreciate Dave, and
Ew.
I wish that he were the CEO because he actually has the mind we need to lead us to the promised land. But as for Matt, I don't think it's possible for me to be satisfied until Matt either miraculously respecs into a CEO build with actual leadership stats, or he fucking rage quits the role and re-rolls into a creative class NPC, which is where he's always belonged.
Yeah, I mean, understood. I mean, it's definitely, I think, I guess a valid opinion to have. I mean, I'm sure there's probably folks in the community that may or may not disagree at the same time, but that's what makes our community great. Is honestly, and I think Rogue hinted on this earlier. If I look at all the connections and friends and contacts that I've made here in the community in Splinterlands, no matter what happens here with the game and the assets, I'm always going to be appreciative to having met yourself, having met Rogue, having met so many other people that no matter where this journey ends, it will have been worth it. And I think we all come from such diverse backgrounds and interests that it's definitely about the journey. So again, I understand your point. It's definitely not been perfect. I've shared my criticisms, on my videos and on X and everything. So there's I'm not one to pull punches, but I do like what I'm seeing here in Splinterlands. I think it's moving in the right direction. I think we have the opportunity to see some hopefully more growth here. So, but yeah, I definitely understand.
Yeah, super happy about Dave.
Yep. Cool. So
Did you mention something about Mav server? Like you guys have access to a Mav server or something
yes,
like that?
I think you should
I've
check
heard about
Rogue.
access to this thing. Yeah.
So the website to check to see if you have access is mavssl.com. So let me post it here in the chat. Hopefully you guys have access so we can run some battles, because I have not played a single battle with a Conclave Arcana card, and I really wanted to try it because the new challenge system is up, and you guys can just smack me around. I don't care. I just want to try some of these new cards. Let me post it here.
Lorcas, have you? I don't think Lorcas has either.
Have I what?
Have you played with the new cards?
Have I played with the Rebellion cards? Is a better question.
So it's basically Rogue and me slapping both of us around, basically.
Yeah.
Because Rogue,
I stopped actually playing this game when they added 3 rule sets. That was a deal breaker for me.
Come on, baby. Come on, give me access.
Rogue, did you participate with Bjangles in some of the testing?
Yep.
Oh, so
yeah, I was on the team.
So you know. So you know what's
I'm an
going
expert.
on.
I'm an expert. I'll show you all the ropes.
Oh, excellent. So
it was honestly, it was a lot of fun. I don't have access to the map server though, sadly. We could go to the QA testing server.
I don't think I have access to that.
Yeah, no, you can't go there. I can't stream that.
Rogue.
Sorry, brother.
Well, can we talk about the cards?
Hold on.
You can log in with mine.
I can't, dude. I think you did a thing recently. No.
I changed my keys. Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, it warned me. It was like, you can't be Lorcas anymore, and I was like, why? I want to be Lorcas. So
I just realized that I had not done a good job of distinguishing who has what key, so I wiped them all out and started over. So
good for you, man. Good for you.
It was like 3 years past due, but we got there.
Let me see.
Yep, always good to be secure.
Confirm. Nope. Incorrect combination. Something about whatever. Yeah, it's gonna flag it. So nope, can't log in as Lurkus. But honestly, dude, if you wanted to run some and play the bot,
I mean, I could play Tails, right?
Yeah,
Tails
yeah,
your own
do
match,
it.
right?
I mean, I would
Do it.
prefer not to lose to
I
a
can
bot
moderate.
live on stream, bro. That would be not great. So we'll just avoid that whole scenario.
Oh
Yeah,
It's kind of
losing
like
to me
fighting your
live on stream is
sister.
way better.
Well, I mean,
There's no
yeah,
winning. Yeah, fair enough.
yeah. So
So to be clear, I would
make me prove it.
actually like to play this game. It would be great. Like I have, when I think it's going to be a full Goldfold Rebellion and Conclave Arcana set. And I would love to play with them. But right now, trying to deal with 3 rule sets to me is just too much. Like I literally want to go get a bot at that point because it feels like this is a bot game and not something that I actually want to apply my mind to. So
well,
I don't know.
if
Hopefully we
you've
can do something about that or make a mode that doesn't make me feel like I want to pull my hair out before we even start.
yeah, because this may not be the set for you, Lorcas. Because if you see, not only are there 3 rule sets, but there is so many new abilities. Just look at the screen here. Like how many of
I'm
these?
fine with abilities. I'm fine with abilities. I even like the new racial ideas. The problem I've got is when you change the game every match to this degree. Like that is not acceptable to me.
Well, it's kind of interesting because the longer that you play with the 3 rule sets, what you end up finding out is there's always a third one that doesn't matter. Like it's not like at the end of the day, it almost.
What you end up finding out is the
one of
only
those.
reason there's 3 rule sets was to stop bots. And
I know. It's not.
So can we
not
just
needed.
make this for humans now? Can we just make it for humans? I would love a game for humans. That would be cool. Like
Yeah, I
a human
agree.
game. Can we do that?
You could totally go back. I've kind of had that opinion for a while that like you could go back to 1 or 2 rule sets, and just because of the diversity of the game at this point with the amount of abilities that there are, I think you could.
3
go
rule
back to
sets
2 rule
made
sets.
sense with AB because there were so few cards and so few abilities. But when you look at Conclave Arcana and Rebellion, it's just madness. Like you're literally asking someone to make a database because the combinations are pleading for you to have an algorithm pick it. Like it's fucking begging you to make a computer solve this problem.
Well, it's
That is a
definitely
horrible state for our game. A horrible state. Like we should be motivating people like, hell yeah, I can be competitive and I can think of really creative stuff. With the current rule set, that isn't how it maybe Red, my fucking scholar, thinks that way. But I don't think many people think, damn, I can be creative with this.
Yeah, hyper competitive thought. That's legit.
I mean, I can definitely be creative and find many ways to lose. That's what I can do because there's just so many choices.
Exactly.
Which
leads itself back to optimization, which isn't where we want to be. We don't want to be in an optimization sort of game. I don't think. I think we want to be in a competitive game, which is different than optimized.
But I think also to some degree, I think the way that sometimes we look at the game is we look at it from a champion level card game, right? If you look at these cards at silver level, let's see, I mean, you're looking at Magic Reflect. That's the ability on this card, at the silver level. So the game's much simpler there. By the time you get the champion, you've got 4 abilities. And this is one of the cards that has very few abilities. There's some that have like 6 or 7. It barely fits on the card.
Cards of the new ones too. You believe we've got corrupt healing on a 3-cost card?
Yeah.
Like, in red. I love it. Inept Healer is gonna be that's gonna be one of the game changer ones.
Well, and here's
Red's fun. Red's a lot of fun. Which I haven't said about Red in a while. Like when I started, Red was Pyra, right? Like it had some rush aspect to it.
Because you started after there was Jotun.
Yeah. There was Jotun, but then like Pyra with the +1 speed. Like the Red was trying to be an aggro rush, right? And that was kind of the thing. So like now when you're looking at this, like red's got what it needs to be that aggro rush color right now, and it's fun. It's real fun. And then corrupt healing for 3 mana is just
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Arachne Weaver is a staple. I mean, so yeah.
Which one?
Arachne Weaver is a staple in the current game. So I mean, this is for that cost. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Well, and here's the thing, and so I'll talk a little bit about why I did what I did with my pack buy, because I had limited bullets to fire today, and it was kind of last minute, so it wasn't optimally planned. But when I came in here to the Mav server and I started at this legendary page, and I actually never got off it to get to the epics. I started here and I was like, let me find let me find a bad legendary that I don't want, that I want to sell as soon as I pull it. And I went through it row after row, card after card. I'm like, where's Sabajan? Where's Bar Shakur? Where's these crappy cards that I don't really care if I pull or not? And I went through these and I couldn't really find any low-hanging fruit to pick from, because I'm like, man, I could see I could use this. I could see how it'd be useful here. And I thought, so I ended up, because of this, I ended up going with all legendary packs, because I was like, you know what? I'm going to start with strong legendaries. I'll get the rare summoners and I'll go from there, because yes, I'm going to miss some epics, but with summoners and these legendaries, and the commons are strong too in this set. There's I mean, I know people say there's not power creep here, but there's power creep here. I mean, it's a whole different style of game. So I was like, man, there's everything here is playable for the most part, in theory. So
yeah, no, and that's the thing with power creep. It's interesting because it's good. It's really good, but it's different. It's different than what Rebellion offered. Rebellion offered tactics, and there was a lot of strength in Rebellion, but like the main thing that is going to be like super interesting going forward with this new meta is the lack in Modern of
force field.
Force field?
Yeah.
Force field, yeah. I thought that's what you were going to say. I was going to say damage shield because I don't know anything, but yeah, force field.
Like force field not being there is that's when you really remember. You're like, oh crap, I can swing.
There are cards that can put out like 15 damage.
Yeah,
17. Okay, yeah.
No, like you can absolutely go ham, and now like you're getting to the point where you're like combos galore. Let's do it. Like who cares? Like I'm not going to be stopped. Oh, it's like everybody's problem where they were getting super cute, and they're like, oh, I need to leave it at gold level because at diamond it gets 5 attack.
Right.
Who cares now? Let's go.
Let's go.
We're back on, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, remember all those Lily, Grimbarden Smith, or inevitable plays that you're just like, oh my god, not this again. I mean, those were not exciting battles.
Oh, and you want to talk about just like the like you've got Jin O'Shaughnessy, which is super cheap. You've got Archimus Bear, which is super cheap. You've got the Slip Spawn, which is super cheap. So now it's not even just like Force Field was on, like with all the super expensive decks. Every deck had it. You know what I mean? So even like your little dudes like that don't have any money in the game and are just farming SPS are running Force Field as their base lineup, because it restricted everything that you did. You know what I mean? And so like, yeah, that's gonna be gone now.
Well, it's gonna be a staple. I mean, you want your staple survival cards. You just name 3 or 4 of them right there, because once some of these cards start showing up in survival mode at the end of the season, you're gonna be wanting all those force fields. So.
Yeah, so is there like an interesting scenario where they allow a potion that allows you to bring a force field card into modern gameplay for one match?
Like, I would want it as a spell.
How crazy would that be?
What kind of like a
you could bring Jin O'Shaughnessy I actually liked it better as bringing in like Genoshanis or somebody that actually had that. Like, you get to use a card that's not there,
Well, how about this? How about a
but you have to own it.
consumable? A consumable that's a spell that you can put force field on one unit of your choice.
Yeah.
How much? How
That's what I would-
expensive would that be? And if you could only produce it on land, and it cost X amount of aura, I mean those things would sell for a good penny because it's going to give you a huge edge in a match, right?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to like go through modern or just go through all your manual play, right? With a stock of potions. It's like how many of those do you need on queue? Like you need like 10 of those for your daily lineups, just in case, you're running through and you're like, yeah, I think I can win this one without it, or like, I definitely need it for this one.
And when you
My
get down to
favorite
2,
one.
you got to go restock before you finish your
Yeah.
daily. So,
Yeah, or like my favorite one, and I know this was something that I think Jangles would absolutely love, is a back to basic spell where you could like wipe all the abilities off of a single card. Like that's what I want to do once.
Like a
in
silence spell?
Jangles. Yeah,
do we
just,
call the Bast Basics card one that just removes one of the rules from their rule set, so it makes it human friendly?
We can just maybe put a proposal and simplify the rule sets.
human. But no,
I wanna-
speaking of those kind of
We're
control-
humans in this match card. You burn that.
those kind of control spells, like that's where I'm looking at Cranks down there, or Cranix, however we're gonna say that.
Yeah, he's got final rest, right?
Yeah, Final Rest is, I think, one of those. The game, I don't think has explored this level of control before, and I'm really excited for this.
So a question for you, Rogue. Like,
Yeah.
is that level of control helpful before you remove randomness? Like, changing the subject slightly, but to me, like, you were getting into competitiveness, and the randomness as Splinterlands has always, in my mind, been a detriment to its competitive gameplay. So, are we getting into an area where we're like going to have some people to do it and some people don't because it's helping competitiveness, but competitiveness can become totally squashed by randomness? Like, what's the trade-off there?
Well, so in this case specifically, I think this actually does a really good job of going the other way, where it removes a lot of the RNG aspect, because it just literally says no to a lot of strategies and combos that your opponent might really be going for. But currently,
But you're still limited to miss ratio of like craziness.
No, it doesn't do any of that. It's like 100%. It's like your death triggers just don't trigger. So like there is no rebirth. There is no.
I mean, it's a
there
hard
is no
nerf to
poison
Heloise,
burst.
right?
It
Real
is.
hard.
It is a hard
counter.
hard there. And so yeah, it's like when I'm kind of thinking about this is really where this kind of ability can actually really simplify the game for you in a little bit, right? Because oftentimes whenever you're playing a control strategy, or whenever you're like trying to build a control deck and run that route, you have to almost, before you play it, you have to understand what your opponent's doing so you know what to cancel, right?
Yeah.
In
sure.
this case,
which is death, right? Like in general.
Yeah. It's a nerf, right? Death is a very much like a weakening / you're not doing as much, right? But in this case, this is almost kind of like you can build a strategy there that is more basic, because it's also for the board. It's like your death triggers don't happen either, so you have to really be conscious on what you're building, and then just kind of create like a really strong basic team that isn't like comboing off or doing anything super crazy with death triggers. But if you put this kind of effort into running this card, and your opponent doesn't do anything, then you're screwed. It's like, all right, if my opponent just didn't run any death triggers and is running over me because I wasted this much mana to try to counter something that they didn't do, it's punishable,
Right. Well, then that comes back to the whole rock, paper, scissors part of the game, where you just kind of go with, what you think will work, or what you think your opponent may play based on what they know of you or whatever. But also with this final rest, once Craniax is off the board, that's no longer in play. So then things trigger, right?
Yeah, things trigger.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah,
That's a pretty sweet thing that it reverts when they're gone. So that's the first time I've seen an ability like that in our game, right? Is there something else that changes when a card dies?
I mean, general field state, I think everything usually does. Like if there was a weakened creature and the weakened creature dies, I think everything gets
Same with
+1.
protect, right? If protect is
Yeah.
up,
Yeah. You're
Protect
right.
us and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So the game's really been good about checking game state, but like I think one of the things that I thought was interesting, it was like in the resurrection rule sets, and you play Craniax, when it dies, it resurrects. And you're like, all right. So I can resurrect, but you
seems
can't. I like it.
counterintuitive, yeah.
So no, it's good because it's gone. It can't check, it doesn't check game condition at that, or it doesn't see final rest when it checks for resurrect, and it does it. So in my mind, that game works perfect in that sense. So it's fun though. This is one of those that I'm going to be watching very closely because in my experience playing trading card games, control isn't fun for most people. So
Right.
most people would like to just aggro red,
Yep.
or like big green stompies. They love their like super in-depth combos. I don't know how many people have sat across from somebody and been like, oh no, if you'd have let me live 7 more turns, I would have done this and then done this and then done this. And if you didn't cancel that spell, then I would have done this, and boom, you'd have been dead. It's like, that was like 10 things you needed to do that I don't interrupt with. So they're like, it's still a good combo. But that's one of the things I'm going to be paying attention to, is like, how controlling is that, and what is its fun factor?
Well, and here's my question, Rogue, is we haven't talked about your strategy for Conclave Arcana. What is Rogue Patton doing? Knowing that you've tested all these cards and know how to,
This is the good question. Like, what is that? I need to know.
So Rogue Patton for the pre-sale bought one what was it, the Alchemy pack? That's my lottery ticket. I bought one Alchemy pack as my lottery ticket.
12,000 D earned.
Main thing that I saw is, it was like at the end of the day, I'm doing math and I'm like, man, it's, they had really set the bar high. It was like $1,000 for a rare title. And I'm looking at my SPS stake and I'm looking at everything and I'm like, I can't play with these guys, and I'm right now, we made decisions going from Chaos Legion into Rebellion where I kind of put down my own progress in the game and I picked up like champion level play. And in doing so, like, my SPS bag has gotten way better than it ever was, and that was awesome. But now I'm at a crossroads.
I'm really sorry,
dude. It's nothing to apologize about. It's just I'm at a crossroads right now where I actually don't own anything that's going to be modern legal, and I have all of these modern maxed out reward cards, and I just don't know where to go from here. You know what I mean? So I'm in this spot where I'm just kind of looking at my funds and I'm trying to figure out, okay, am I going to do a reset? Like, am I going to try to make some financial moves here early to generate some capital, then to rebuild like a gold deck or something like that? You know what I mean? And go from there. But currently, my big thing is just I'm gonna try to double or triple some funds here early, and I've been on record saying it many times. I think I think Rebellion is the new Untamed, 1,000% with the print runs and with everything. And so I just I put like $700 or something into the legendary summoners from Rebellion, just because in history I remember what those summoners did during Chaos.
Kitty, Yoden,
and especially
they were brutal. Yeah.
Oh, and especially we've got we're gonna have 4 months, 4 months before the first legendary summoner of.
They come out a month apart, so it's not like they flood you.
Yeah, and it will have 3 if they follow the same recipe, right? It'll be 3 other promos. Then before we get it,
I got to be the lucky Larkus that had 5 more months before it got truly eclipsed by some of those cards.
Yeah, I mean, you're
So-
for the first summoner in Rebellion, by the way, Lorcas, this is a shout out to your card. I mean, that your card is a monster. I mean, and it shows in the price on the market too. So
And it wasn't for a minute. So that's like over the course of the set, right? Like it is like rose and fallen, you know, like with the different cards that have been released. And I think that last promo really pushed Lorcas pretty high.
Oh, that promo was
honestly.
crazy. Oh my
Yeah.
god, yeah, I got several of those. Yeah,
so
Yeah,
you're talking
so that
about
was-
well, I mean, Keelan Gaines is good, but then you've got this
Keelan.
card
It's
too.
Keelan.
that's what you were talking about, right? Keelan Gaines.
Yeah, that was the one I was talking about. Which one are you talking about?
I mean, this
Sinister?
is Grandma the Hunger. I mean, is not bad with Lorcas either. I mean,
Oh no, Granville the Hunger's gonna be great with Lorcas. Yeah. So
I mean, honestly, that thing's great with.
David, this was all the team. So just to be clear, like when I made this card, like what I thought was so great about it was working with the team. Like I told them nothing about the abilities I wanted, or like I told them which splinters I was the most interested in. I lost all of that because I was the first card made. But like I just basically told them like my story as a human and my story in the game, and they made a card that fitted with that. And this was all the team making like a card that I was very proud of, even though I had very little to do with it other than like the artwork and the story.
Yeah,
Very cool.
that's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm trying to generate a lot of funds here early because I mean, I'm recognizing the trend, and so I went in on the legendary summoners. But I'm actually still I don't know right now. I don't know what I need to do. I've got a keep. I've got a full set of Chaos and Rift Watchers, so like my account's not gonna do nothing, you know. But maybe I scholar and build up and just kind of like quietly build the Rogue Patent account and get ready for like the next set.
mm,
So that way, you know, maybe I can be financially ready. Because, like, that was always my hope, is that by the time we got to the next bull run or whatever, that I would have the funds to just be a whale. And it hasn't happened yet, but by no stretch of the imagination has my account not grown. You know what I mean? But it's grown in so many areas that I don't want to let go of. You know, I have a keep, I have a Rooney, I have a Lux. You know,
That's
I
huge.
have, you know, I have a lot of things that I'm not going to get rid of, you know. So I just these are the cards that I have right now, and that's kind of where I'm gonna be.
well,
So-
I can tell you that if you're piloting at your skill level in survival, you're going to make a lot of SPS, even with just Chaos Legion and Rift Watchers. So you know that's going to be your moneymaker. And like I said, that I'm you know I always had the same thought. I can't you know come in swinging big for this set necessarily, but over time, you know a starter pack a day, you know,
Mhm.
is not terrible, right? It's not gonna, I'm not going to be a champ one on day one, but you know by the end of it, we should be all right.
Yeah. Yep.
So maybe we can talk about this because I think this is interesting. If we go back to this is the leaderboard from today, and we go all the way to 300. We talked about this. You mentioned this at the beginning of the stream, Rogue. So we had.
I don't know if I'm seeing this, or am I my screen?
It's delayed with YouTube, I think.
Okay. right.
So the
I'll
top
give it to you.
300 on the pre-sale was $1,200, which in standard packs again is like 300 standard packs. And if you've done any Chaos pack opening and you've opened like 300 Chaos Legion packs, what you get from that is not really playable, even in silver necessarily. So even
Yes.
like the top number 300, the top one here, now, maybe they have Rebellion, maybe not, right? But what they have with 300 packs, standard packs here, let's say they went with instead of Alchemy or Legendary, which they may or may not have, which is even worse. You're going to have Silver, Conclave Arcana cards, and this is top 300 player in Modern, let's just say. You know, just as simplification. Because like you said, I don't think a lot of people really took Rebellion seriously for the most part. Yes, there are a lot of, packs out there, but it's kind of like Untamed. And there's only a few people that had really strong Untamed decks back in the day, and they reaped the rewards of huge SPS, right? So, what are the modern rewards going to look like on Tuesday, or at least, into the week once all the rewards have resettled, all the stuff, because we're in the middle of this, whatever, in the season left. It's not going to be perfect switch over, I don't think. So, I mean, the first true season of this new modern, I mean, we could see if there's not caps like they had to put in for survival, you can see 100 SPS per win at the top, people earning, I think is very realistic, because there's going to not be, well, I mean, there'll obviously be people at the top because there has to be. That's how the system works. But the separation there of the haves and have-nots from a card perspective is going to be significant. Right, there's going to be a clear division.
It's the 90% below them. It's the 90% below the top. The top players. We'll just say the champion leaderboard.
Yeah, the diamond and gold levels are going to be interesting.
Yeah, I imagine, or at least what my prediction is right now is that there's going to be empty space. And that's going to really be what drives the sales.
I think so.
Because there's going to be a world where your silver deck is actually earning some good SPS. Your gold deck is earning even better SPS, but it's cost efficient to what you're building. You know what I mean? And then what's also interesting, is all the people that went into Rebellion, I think those are all your standard players, so they're into Conclave, so there's still going to be a good chunk of full decks at the top. But yeah, what's the spread underneath? Is it literally bronze and silver decks bumping up against the maxed out diamond decks?
I think it's going to be
like it would last long, right? If that's really the case, people are going to come in with gold decks and knock them down.
Well, here's the thing: how many people have true gold decks of Rebellion and Conclave Arcana? Because the Conclave Arcana cards, Rebellion by itself, is not good. Conclave Arcana plus Rebellion is really good. And I think when you have the Mississippi River hitting the Gulf, where you have freshwater and saltwater hitting, you're going to have a point in the league where you've got a really skillful, let's say, silver level summoners with, decent rares and commons, whatever, bumping up into those that have a max deck that are just running, not great scholars or not great gameplay, right? Because I think the divide is going to be noticeable, to Rogue's point.
Yeah, so right
really
now,
could be.
A Rebellion deck is worth $7,500 maxed out, just going off of Splinter Cards data, and a gold deck's $2,000. And I would almost argue that that's not.
One of these is more affordable than the other.
Oh, I'm sorry, 4,000. It's 4,000 for a gold, but
that's basically how it is. It's half the cards for gold versus diamond, right?
Yeah,
so that makes sense.
So silver is at 1,700, bronze is at 500. So there's a big jump there, but that's really the big question: is are people going to shell out the money for let's say you've got your silver Conclave Arcana deck? Are they going to fill out that with Rebellion, or are they going to bump to gold with Conclave? I'm going to argue they're going to bump gold with Conclave.
Of course, because going back to your parallels with the Untamed set, right? When you and I came in here, we weren't dropping $1,000 for Jotuns necessarily, right? Because yes, it would win for us, but it would cost us an arm and a leg to get it to a level where you could help pay itself off, right? Because the costs were so high. So we went with Chaos Legion.
You were buying Chaos Legion, which was valueless because of how many were sold, right? So does that work as an analogy?
Well,
it wasn't valueless back when it was launched for us.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Not launched, but 6 months later, it really wasn't comparative. You couldn't say, to me, the argument that you're potentially making is rewards would be something 2x if you got a legendary from Untamed versus the 1x rewards from a legendary and chaos, but the cost differential was like 10x.
Mhm.
Is that wrong?
Well, I think we
No,
have to
I think
see because again, the power level of Conclave Arcana cards in from a meta perspective, I don't think can be compared to Chaos Legion versus Untamed power levels.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, not at all.
And
Not at all.
and I think this is an interesting point because remember at the beginning of the stream, I mentioned that I had some concerns with starter packs. So here's my theory, and we'll see if it plays out. But I think the one area of weakness in the current plan are starter packs because starter packs are essentially the same problem we had with Chaos Legion, which was essentially an unlimited print or a print as much as people will want to buy, right? There was no limit. I mean, yeah, it was limited at 15 million packs, but I mean, it obviously was never going to get that high. And what we got to was like over 11 million, almost 12 million, I think. And it was still way too much for the current player base. But with starter packs being $1 for 5 cards, and with the strength of the commons and rares in Conclave Arcana, plus the rare summoners are, I mean, arguably better than Chaos Legion rare summoners, I would say. I think that's probably safe to say. So, do you have a point where the starter pack's at $1, where you can get possibly 2 BCX of a summoner in those packs? Does it bring back the incentive for people? And I know they technically couldn't play those cards in Modern with bots, but do you have people buying more than they need because they're starting to run alt accounts in Modern using 24 energy on one account and switching over because the rewards are so good? And could that lead us again to, because there's no limit on those packs and their packs are pretty cheap, do we get to a point where again Conclave Arcana is not like Rebellion, does not hold its value because of that?
So I have 2 questions to follow your question. The first is it possible that the epics and legendaries are good enough that flooding commons and rares doesn't matter? And is this another scenario where we should tie pack prices to reward prices just to add realism?
I mean, you know that I'm in favor of that, Lorcas, but that ship has sailed for Conclave Arcana because
for the second one, for sure.
But you know,
I think the epics and legendaries are for sure very, very powerful in Conclave Arcana for sure.
So that was the answer I was hoping for, because that's the only way this makes sense. Because I think, Tails, you and I had this conversation about Rebellion, and its epics and legendaries really make me want to burn that entire set to the ground. Like, fucking horrible. Like, their usage rate.
Well, other than Venka,
we're gonna put it in basketball terms. We're gonna put it until like our shooter, our center that can't shoot. That's how much they're used. They're not used at all. Like, those cards are fucking worthless. The only ones that are valuable there in that category were airdrops.
Yeah, Rage, Venka, and the Summoners. Yes, I agree. The core set legendaries are, and that's why we did this analysis earlier.
Fucked. They're totally fucked. Yeah,
I mean that's why I showed you this, and I was like, man, these cards are beasting, right? I mean, there's not. I mean, you look at there's not like a Zabajin, or I mean, like I said, you can pick your random legendary from the core Rebellion set that you have never played. You look at the last played and it says never, or it says 10 months or something like that, because there's a lot of them in that Rebellion core set, to your point.
So a couple of the things I've always been a huge voice against the starter packs, right? Just because I feel the same way. I feel like there shouldn't be like a real cheap point of entry for at least all the tools that you need to like play at the highest levels. But I will say, like, running the numbers right now, because that's one of the things that I considered, is in Conclave Arcana there is 29 rare cards, right? So if we're talking about maxing out, essentially 29 rare cards at $1 per pack, you're looking at, 115 times 29 is $3,335. That's like perfect. You got one of every rare that you need for all the 29 rares, like, right? So if you just bought packs and you wanted to max out only the commons and rares, you're spending 3.3, like you're spending $3,300. And if you look at Rebellion price of commons and rares right now, and you combine those two, you're actually at just under $3,000. So if you buy all the commons and rares to max out for Rebellion right now, you're actually cheaper than if you tried to do the packs that way. So like that's actually one of the things that I've considered is I've almost kind of turned chip on it a little bit. I'm like, where packs are concerned, there's no gold foil, there's no epic, there's no legendary. I might be of the opinion there's no value. Like that's like I'm almost kind of at that point. Like I look at like if Rebellion is the price stable set, like your secondary value on those cards is nowhere near $1 per pack. If you're four commons and a rare, guaranteed.
I think I totally agree. If you're saying that the commons and rares are not the staple for Conclave Arcana, because they fucking are for Rebellion. Like I just made this comment with Tails about how the epics and legendaries aren't used, but the commons and rares fucking are.
I mean,
those cards
maybe.
are good.
No, not really. Look at the summoners.
Are you kidding
me? How many
me?
summoners do you use? How many summoners do you use?
Fuck the summoner. Don't use those summoners.
Ignore that. You literally can't play without the summoners. If you went starter pack on Rebellion, you would have a terrible deck.
Run legendary summoners.
So ignore the rare summoners. Go look at the common and rare cards that aren't summoners, and they are used a lot.
Yeah, all those no attack cards.
I mean, that's what I'm saying though. Is like you can look anywhere and find good commons and rares, but like you're telling me that like Rebellion was like broken in commons and rares when you functionally can't play the game with those summoners. They're that bad. You know what I mean? Like if any bot maxed out those summoners and was playing,
you have misconstrued what I said. What I said was the legendaries and epics are only good in the airdrops and the promos, because the legendary summoners from the core set don't exist, and the rare summoners are fucking garbage. But the rare and common core cards are fucking great. Like he's got them on the screen right here.
I just swept the market on a Kane. A Kane's a great summoner. You take that back.
He's only
okay.
legendary.
You have a good point. A Kane is on that list.
Summoner.
But if you look at like Moxie and Rebel, is a rare. And that's one of the best cards of the entire fucking set. That's core. Talking about core. Like, because obviously Vinka doesn't count. Solas should have been good if they had done anything interesting, but he's not.
This guy sucks.
But Runeseer, Zavaya could have been good, but go look at the rares and commons. Those are good cards. Good cards.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's where I was thinking. But again, it's not apples to apples, because I think the rare summoners with the bloodline stuff are much better than the rare summoners in core Rebellion. For sure.
Yes.
And I
agreed
think
with that.
I think what Call Me Tim and the testing team did is they fixed a lot of the problems that Rebellion had, because Rebellion had, not only did they have dead cards, but they had dead max levels. Like the last 2 or sometimes 3 levels of a card were completely worthless. Like you get an armor or a health. No one cares, right? If you want to min max, no one cared. You could get by with like a level 6 rare or something, because you didn't need to max it, because there was there was no incentive. I mean, yes, obviously if you want to have the best and you want to go first against the same card or whatever, I get it. But for all intents and purposes, you get the 95% of the effectiveness of the card at like a lower level. So I think they fixed that in Conclave Arcana.
That's huge.
So I mean, I think it's not apples to apples, but there are some, and that was where I was going, Lurkus, with the point that, I to your point, I would rather have a common and rare full set of Rebellion than an epic and legendary core set.
Yeah, I would rather have whatever the value is of having the epic and legendary sold to have more commons and rares.
Yeah.
So back to your original theory though on the price. So like one the data point that I think Rebellion right now is cheaper if you went to the singles market than if you went packs.
Mm.
So I'm not super worried about like bots coming in and like exploiting some kind of thing there. I don't think it exists, because the other part of that, and really where I am kind of concerned is the this whole more cards in the market than we actually need being driven by these chase cards. That's where I'm like, okay, you know, like all these people, like let's assume like, you know, top dogs here, like Lorcus, you know, let's take him for example, you know, like probably chasing the black foils. You know what I mean? So they bought an excessive amount of packs to chase black foils. Now
I did not.
I did not. False claim. Well, I know you were going for a gold foil, right?
Yeah, I was going for a gold foil deck, and I will accept a black foil to replace the max gold foil, but I was not shooting for a black foil.
So, but looking at it, like that's where I'm like these chase cards and everything, like people spending more money than they normally would going for chase if they don't have a use for the excess.
But I think they do
then,
now, Rogue. I think.
What do you think? Because of survival?
Yes, I think Vuctus goes and takes and puts 10 regular foil sets in survival and lets it print a whole bunch of SPS, because he'll make more money in survival with those cards dominating than he will on land for sure, with the equivalent dollar amount probably. Or maybe not. I mean, I haven't done the math, but the point is before he would have to sell all that extra stuff on the market to dump it to other people to get, you know, more chances at, you know, whatever, cycling through and getting more black foils. Now he just keeps it all. He doesn't need to get rid of it. He can use it. It's all usable in this new game mode.
That'll be interesting if people decide not to, like, let's just say, like, take Vugtis for example. 70 grand he just put into the game, and he's not gonna like try to offset that cost with anything. Like, no. Is that we're just thinking 70 grand? Oh, because he spent 70 grand. You know what I mean? I guess I don't. I don't have 70 grand to throw at a video game. I wish I did. But, you know, in my mind, these are moves that you make to, I don't know, like you're going for a max gold foil deck, your multiple decks, whatever, scholarship wise. But then, like, for sure, your extras, you're trying to sell and drop your total cost down. Like,
you're talking about me here. You're not talking about Vugtis. Like, understand the difference between your whales.
Oh, no, I totally understand. I'm just saying generally people, you know what I mean? Like, that's this will be a very interesting aspect for us, is we are about to go into Tuesday, and in my full anticipation, there is going to be a flood on the singles market. Wow. And I kind of viewed it this way, as like, if, you know, chase is real and we're tapping into a bunch of collectors and all this stuff, like that also quick turnaround of DEC is how they get more packs and how they open up more to try to keep chasing the things that need to be chased, right?
But so, if you believe Dave, you ended your chase today.
Not necessarily,
that's
because
not a real chase.
Because you can see what's in the pool of what's pulled and what's left. And as more and more packs are burnt or purchased, and your cards that you're looking for are still there, your odds of pulling those get better.
Sure, but every day that goes by, 100%. You risk the card you're going for being pulled.
But I think you both are missing the standpoint of a Vugtis.
Yeah, we're both poor, so we don't understand
what I'm just going to point out is everything that they wanted to open for this entire time, they bought in the pre-sale because of the extra bonuses from the cards that are being dropped. They're not buying more, chasing it in the regular sale. They bought everything they intended to buy for the entire time, and they will chase it with that. These guys bought a lot of packs. Yeah, I think so. I don't expect Fungus to be buying a bunch more packs, but I could be wrong. But that's how I see it.
I mean, think about it. Like, if the logic is there, right? He builds 10 Conclave Arcana decks, runs survival mode, turns that profit into an 11th deck, and just keeps going. And
Turns that profit into the next set. Why would he spend it on a less profitable pack? He already got the most profitable packs during pre-sale.
Yeah, I mean the optimal
Why
time
wouldn't
to
you
buy.
save for the next pre-sale?
Yeah, I mean if you're trying to min max your money,
you're thinking
yes.
this from a standpoint of someone that spent everything they had, and I don't believe that's
me,
Fungus. He spent everything that he wanted to spend with the goal that he had for the whole set. Everything he makes from this is for the next set.
Must be nice.
It's just different, and I'm asking you to remember it's different. These people think differently than us, and I include myself in that differently. I do not think like them because I don't have that money, but that's what they're doing. I don't expect them to buy more packs. This chase is over for them at the end of today.
That'll be interesting.
Well, they opened them as strategic, but like they are, I don't expect them to buy more packs unless they just like drop on the secondary market and they buy them there.
I mean, I'm just speculating, but my guess is if you can wait, you would wait until the Dragon Summoner comes out and then open all your legendary packs at that time. If you could. Like most people don't have the luxury. They need those cards now. But if you were someone that had deep pockets and could supplement your deck with the other pack openings, that would be the way to go. Open up all your alchemies day one, and then save all your legendaries for the day the Dragon Summoner airdrops. And then I think also,
if you have enough money, you hold packs for those days and you bought them in the pre-sale for the bonuses. That's exactly right. If you don't, you make different choices. That's what the rest of us do. But Vuctus doesn't make that choice. He didn't choose that way.
Yeah. We'll have to get Vuctus on and ask him one of these days.
Of the 6 people in the leaderboard, how many of them have already designed a card? I think this is going to be Jeff's first one, right?
Yes, he designed GLS.
He did a long time ago. Yeah.
GLS.
But it wasn't part of the actual. It was different. Yeah.
He designed a coach in the GLS game.
Yep, I remember that one.
Yeah.
Yep. So this will be his first one here, and it's funny because like he also designed a card in a physical card game that I was kind of playing along with him for a minute. It was Argent Saga, and so he had a card game, or he had a card in that one, which was pretty cool. So this is going to be cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what Jeff's able to do with this one. What about Love in the Moo? Is this
Yeah, so
we know?
Love in the Moo I'm excited about. Love in the Moo is one of the guys that competed in a lot of the gold foil Eloise. This is a gold account.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only repeat is Brave Tofu. There's the only repeat on the summoner list.
Is Cryptomancer not the black alpha summoner?
Yeah, but he just got that back in the day. I mean, yes, it's him,
different now. It's different now. Yeah.
Okay. So Tofu's the only repeat. I think that's one of the cool things is like seeing like a fresh 6 in there. You know what I mean? Like other people that are like, all right, now's my time. Like, let's go. You know, that's pretty cool. That's gonna be cool.
I fully expect Azurkhan or Azurkhan, however you pronounce that name, to be up there. Like I thought this was his time.
Well, he said he doesn't care.
Oh, okay. I missed that. I don't pay attention to chat.
Yeah, he does the People's Guild pretty often, and so he was one of the first ones. He said, "I'm putting 30 grand in, you know, wherever I land," and it was like, "Oh, all right." He's like, "I got 3 max decks I got to fill out. You know, this is what I'm putting in." And so yeah, they talked about like, "Oh, are you gonna go for a leader?" He's like, "Nope, don't care. Just this is what I'm doing." I was like, "All right, awesome."
Nice.
Yeah, and I think here's the thing is so I think if you look at this top 10 here versus the top 6, I think YGG was up in there till the end. They probably, if they wanted to really push it, could have done it. Matt didn't want to do it, right? I think if you talked AJ or Miradorn here, if they could have today over again, they would redo today, right? Because look how close they were.
Really?
Right?
Within a million, you know.
Yeah.
It's 1%. It's 1%.
So what do you think they're going to do in the next set? Because look at this. If you look at the previous here. This is Rebellion, right? You know, AJ's here, YGG's here, Tofu's here. Obviously, Lorcas, you're here. But, you know, you've got Hawks, which is no longer here as far as I know. Yeah, Bubkey. I mean, you've got, you know,
YGG was at number 1, right? Because didn't they make the Dragon
last time,
Summoner that we all still hate on? Yeah.
So Han V was 13th last time around. He said, no way. He came in there with a strong, I forget, at the last minute, he just swooped in there and came in with 80 mil and said, mine. He said, I'm not doing Rebellion all over again. So yeah, he learned his lesson, right? So yeah, it's going to be interesting. And here's Voctus at 17 last time around. So, you know, these two are now in the top 6. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this next time around, what kind of fireworks we have.
I like the way that they did this one. It's just straight DEC count. Like, I love that. That was very
interesting with different pack types, which was like a really good evolution of this.
Yeah, I was very impressed to see the appetite for the gold foil packs. I was actually pretty surprised at that, and so. Because I don't know, in my head, I'm like, man, you crack open one of those and you get a gold foil common, like,
well, those are the odds. About that,
but like, yeah, right. But they, you know, with the black foil like odds also in there, like
yes,
that's I
what
think
they're
really
going for.
tipped the scale. Yeah, it tipped the scale a lot, I think, for the alchemy packs, and then honestly, just also putting like a $24 stamp on a legendary, I think is smart. I think it was real smart. I don't think it's
totally agree with that.
It's not.
That's a great way of thinking about it. A base cost of a legendary should be $24.
Yeah, or it's just really the odds, right? I think it was like 1 in every 6 packs is maybe a legend, or like 1 in every something along those lines. But yeah, it was just like they kind of took the cost of a legendary or what an average one is and bumped it up a little bit. And was like for the odds of pulling a second one or gold foils and all that.
Well, because you get the benefit of the gold foil draws. Because the chances because you're pulling a disproportionate amount of legendaries. So when you do hit a gold foil, the chance of it being a legendary is increased significantly. So that's where the positive EV comes in those legendary packs. But Brave Tofu did an interesting article in Peak and I shared it with Lorcas earlier this evening. And the clear winner.
Thanks for sharing that after the sale.
I didn't find it.
I appreciate it. It's great. I know you hate me. It's all cool.
Oh no, I found it after the fact. I would have used it myself if I'd known about it. But I think he posted it like yesterday or the day before on X, and I missed it. But you did the right thing anyway. So I mean, you know, it's all good. But you know, the numbers worked out.
Math worked out okay.
Yeah, I mean the numbers work out so that the value in the packs from a dollars and cents perspective is in the alchemy packs, right? It's clear because of the increased chances of gold foils and black foils, because those chances are significantly higher, right? Based on the cost that you pay, right? And what I think is interesting is Joffrey brings up in that chat here, which is very key, is that because a lot of alchemy and legendary packs were sold from a DEC perspective instead of standard packs, the actually number, the print rate of the cards, at least coming out of the pre-sale compared to Rebellion, is actually much less, significantly less. Because 5 cards versus, you know, whatever, 30 or I don't know, however.
It's way less cards. It's way more valuable cards out of the pre-sale.
Yeah. Yes. So
maybe a better mix relative to like the input cost. I'm not sure, but it's definitely skewed differently. But I would like to change the subject for a second.
Yeah.
And just comment on the fact that I get a a black foil Arcane Skinwalker because of a 316k DEC difference.
Yeah, let's see that because you were right on the edge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at it in the last like 2 minutes and I was like, do I need to get more? And I was like, I'm gonna just close this browser and go look at something else for 60 seconds and see what happens.
Wow.
Like, I'm just not gonna do it.
Man,
Oh man,
that's
trash
crazy.
panda. I remember eating lunch with Panda and Panda wife.
Yeah.
Met them in Vegas, and so yeah, you edged him out just a little bit.
Man,
And I was just looking at Null Fame right above me at the exact same value, and I was like, "Do I just buy one pack
more.
so that it's Null Fame that gets knocked out?" Like I'm just walking away, just walking away.
Yeah. Well, I probably would have spent that extra $4 personally.
I would have spent that $4 grand. Sorry, no fame.
But this
Yeah.
IGN should have been 20, I think. Lorcas, right here. This should have been the number 20 IGN.
Maybe next time, yeah.
Jeez.
Which one?
Number 17.
Number 17. If he was at 20, he would have just like trolled everyone after him.
Because that's a big deal. I mean, a black foil here versus a single B6 of a gold foil. It's a big difference.
Yeah. I mean, plus then, I mean, so I don't know, you got your black foil max of the skinwalkers, so then like what are you doing with all your other skinwalkers at that point? You know what I mean?
I gotta look at what I pull. So all I'm really shooting for with this set is a max gold foil. I expect to pull a max regular foil from these packs. So I'll probably use that in some way, but anything beyond that, I expect to not be in my account. Like whether that means selling it to a friend, putting it on the market, or whatever. But I've been pretty adamant about holding pretty much everything I pull from packs, and I don't feel that way with this set.
Mm.
Yeah. Well,
So
again,
you can look at my cards, and I have single BCX from all sorts of sets that I probably should do something else with, but they just sit there because I want to hold them, and I don't feel that way.
I mean, I would definitely say in like 5 or 6 months, you should definitely cash in on that Rebellion win. That's for sure. Like
before it becomes Chaos Legion.
Well, yeah, before it rotates out of Modern. You know what I mean? Like cash in on Untamed while it's hot. You know what I mean? Because I don't know, it proved even Untamed, as hot and as low print rate as it was when it went into Wild, like everything's not as ridiculous as it was. You know? And
Yeah.
So
Sure. I
Like,
hope
I-
more game mode solves that, because I really want to see less fall off of cards from the Elite Modern. Like right now, I think we're seeing that because bots control the other leagues,
Which is interesting
and I
because
think we need to adjust our power balance, because we've already talked about like 3 sets is stupid for humans, or 3 rule sets is stupid for humans, but also having 2/3 of our leagues for bots is also stupid. So we have changes to make, and how we balance players versus bots is still.
I agree with that. You know my stance on that, Lorcas. I would rather bots be eliminated from the game altogether, but that is a battle that I probably will never win. But but here's the thing: when you look at this, so we look at
limiting to less rule sets than humans would be smart. I can't come up with an argument that doesn't make sense. So only one rule set for bots seems like a good idea.
well, I mean, in Modern, just make that change for Modern only, right?
I'm saying that we now have 3. We have 3 leagues.
Yes.
And 2 of them are bot dominated. And that's the wrong approach. We should only have 1 of them be bot dominated. And if it were up to me, I would say that should be survival. And then we should have Modern and Wild be non-bot.
Agreed.
And that would be a smarter.
So I think here's what I think we might see. And I'll go out on a limb here and give you a hot take. I think
I love this.
I think you could have survival mode being the only mode that is bottable in the future based on the community feedback. And the funds for funding survival mode are the SPS that gets pulled off of land. The pool would fund survival mode.
Shit, I like that.
And
it's
then,
really clever. I like it.
Yeah, and then Wild goes to, human only, like Modern. And now you have choices because bots can't be used. You have to either choose to play the game or not play the game, or scholar the game, right? And then you could put in your, reduce the rule sets in both Modern and Wild at that point. But here's the thing that I don't get, right? Here is a snapshot on April 29th, and it's pretty consistent across the board. Modern battles here 21,997, and you've got wild 21,546. So about 50-50, about the same amount. And you can see here it's pretty close across the board. Yet if you play wild versus modern, the rewards do not indicate at the levels, the same levels. Like if you took a win in wild at like champ 3 and a win in modern at champ 3, it's because I know a lot of that's part of the SPS required as well, but there's the battles are the same, but the rewards are not. And I think the only thing in theory that should be changing that, if you use the same cards in both of those, would be obviously the gold foil percentage, because you may not have as many gold foils that you play in wild. And then secondly, the SPS stake requirements for the multiplier. But other than that, the rewards just are not there. And that's what's caused wild cards to, like Untamed, lose value going into wild because the earnings were less. But if we made it human only in both wild and modern, and the rewards pool were equal, you would have to make a choice on where you played. Or if you played both, you'd have to figure out how you'd do your energy buys and stuff like that to make it work. But now, all things being equal, in theory, those cards should increase in value because their utility and their ability to earn would also go up, in theory.
So just to bring it full circle, not only human only, but also human friendly would really make a difference in how many people play this game.
Agreed.
But yes, love the concept. I just wanted to add human friendly into there because I fucking hate rule sets. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, it's sometimes much for sure. Yeah, I would agree. But I mean, again,
just spend so much time thinking about the rule sets that I don't want to play. It just makes me not want to play.
You just be like me and forget 2 of them. It's fun.
just find the one that matters most. It's like a math equation, right, Rogue? You look at all the rule sets and say, this is the one that's the most important. This is what I build my team for. Ignore all the rest.
Yeah. Like, it's not just
probably what
all
I should do.
We got it. Then find out it was like also like reverse speed, and I'm like, oops.
God damn it.
I was like, it was a magic reflect, and I brought all magic. We'll see. This will work.
It's all good.
Do it.
Gentlemen, I've had a really great time tonight. This was over 2 hours of us talking with 0 battles, which normally I'm entertained by battles, but Tails and I never played on the map server.
I tried. You should do a battle.
Well, I'm definitely going to be doing some battles at some point. You want to close with a battle, Lucas?
Yeah, sure. We can try. Like this will be hilarious because I haven't looked at most of these cards.
Oh, we're in the same boat, man. I'm going to challenge you.
Challenge me.
Beat him up.
Beat me up with my
do it in bronze.
10 million SPS that I can do something with on the map server.
Let's do a bronze match.
Modern. No, we're not doing bronze. We're going to do all the confusing stuff, man.
You have to do all this stuff or it doesn't count.
Yeah.
My tail.
Right.
Oh, I have a challenge. I have 9 minutes left. All cards.
All right.
Except.
So lose your headphones, Marcus, and let me talk to Rogue here. We got to have a little battle helper, conversation.
Okay, so you're gonna use Rogue to beat me? Like you could beat me without trying. I don't understand.
No.
But cool.
Only neutrals.
I don't see the screen to actually play yet. What's going on?
All right, here we go. Let's see. Well,
matches found.
This is gonna be interesting.
Shades of Grey.
Right? Oh man.
We get to play with it. Yeah. Jingles showed me there's only one play here.
Is there only one play?
Yeah, there's only one play. And I made the play, but then I also made the wrong play to go with it. It was hilarious. I'm like, this is what you do, right? And he's like, no, you do this, and he just wiped me.
All right. Well,
yeah, did you know Jangles is a good player now? I didn't know that.
Well, this is not available, see Rogue, so I can't do that. So, all right, I'm gonna have to do.
What did you do? Yeah.
I can't even. This one, something like this, right? Let's see. Does this guy have his ability? I can't even look at him now that I selected him. This is terrible. Oh, here we go. Yeah, something like this. Where are the new cards? What am I doing? I don't even know. Oh no, is this all neutrals? Oh no. What's the other ability? Yeah. Oh no. It's only neutrals. I can't use the taunt. Jeez.
There's a taunt in neutral. There's a new one.
No, I
there's a
wanted
new
the taunts
neutral.
for that comes with my summoner is what I wanted to use, but I can't. This is terrible. Sure. What kind of mana do we have to work with here?
Not enough. What do I need to do? What am I doing?
Rogue's just laughing. He's like, God, it's like watching a toddler play chess.
I'm really looking forward to Tuesday. That's what I'm looking for. I'm gonna just soak in some SPS for a while you guys all figure this out.
All right. Yeah, go steal from us children. Like on Halloween, you big bully. All right, let's see. Oh, look at this.
Yeah. Appreciate the art on that guy. His art is awesome. When you get into battle, hover over him and let's appreciate what he's stirring his beer with.
Okay. I have headphones on again, and I heard something about stirring beer, and I feel like that's the inappropriate thing to do with beer.
No, hover over the brewmaster.
This guy?
Brewmaster. Which one's the brewmaster?
That was the epic in position 3 for Sinister.
Yeah.
I can't see the field of play yet because he has a tactic and I don't.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sorry.
Pacific position 3.
So he
Is that like a staff? What is he stirring with? An axe? Is that an axe?
Yeah, it's the butt of his axe. Is the
Oh, you wouldn't
torch.
want to use the blade. You'd like corrupt the taste.
He's stirring his beer with the butt of his axe with just like a he's awesome. He's my favorite. I want a black foil of that guy. Not saying he's like super meta relevant, but man, I want a black foil of that guy.
How did we come up with half of our lineup being the same here, Marcus?
I don't know.
Modern, just
It's what it is.
flashbacks to.
I decided Venko was not what I wanted, and clearly that was a mistake.
Well, it's too early to say. I should probably speed this
So-
up, right?
It's not too early. It was a mistake.
So you went with Pain Forge, but
No one's pain forging.
you're not tickling
Not
the
doing
target.
anything good. No,
Yeah,
I'm not doing anything good here. Is what you're saying.
There was many times in testing where we'd be playing this and put together a whole team and you're just like, crap, I didn't put anything in place to actually trigger this.
Yeah, that one would have helped. Yeah.
You're like, I'm gonna lose. Because yeah, you've got it. Like you got the health equalizer, the Pain Forge would have absolutely made your promos run away.
Yeah.
Right?
Because all
You
of the
just
health with the overseer given
Yeah,
so
'cause
much
you-
health.
yeah, you had absolutely there's no concern if you're pinging your own dudes for 1 damage a turn if your hunger is getting like an extra 3 attacks every turn. Yeah. There were some broke combos there, that's for sure.
Not good.
We're getting the alpha from Rogue here of what to do, so now we'll know next time. And knowing's half the
Pain
I
battle.
Forge.
won't know
man.
because I won't remember. But yes, I'm sure.
Yeah,
it'd be great.
both your new promos have the shapeshift, right? So like what that summoner that you're running, they would essentially be gnomes, right? And so they both have Pain Forge and they can get pretty crazy.
Well, cool. Well, guys, I know we've been going here for like 2 hours now, so I appreciate all the audience that hung out with us all this time. I know there was a lot of chat that we didn't get to. I apologize for that. We just had so much to cover. with Dave and this crew. So let me have you guys sign off, promote anything you want to promote, and we'll hopefully do this again soon. Marcus?
I want to promote Matt stepping down as CEO. Go ahead, Rogue.
I want to promote Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior.
Oh God, I'm leaving this chat.
Nailed it!
Bye, guys.
All right, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with